Je pense qu'on peut commencer. Hello, everybody. So welcome to the LISP working group. We're going to start. So I'm Luigi with Padma. We are the chairs here. Alberto should join online, our secretary. He will prepare the minutes. Batchbed. Okay. This is the new Note well, which has more or less the same content that we know. Okay. About contribution and how we deal here with respect to each other. The usual tip, if you are here in the room, please log in on the on-site Mitico tool. For people that are remote, I suppose they already logged in the remote full Mitico tool. The usual pointers. This is the working group status as it was in Madrid. We had a few things going on. The update this time is that we have the reliable transport, NAT and DDT, so 8111 bis on the agenda. LISP traffic engineering and LISP geo, they need a new revision. We received the review for different area. And so we need a little bit of work in order to make them pass to the ISG review. And there are a few other documents like the multicast that are close to working group last call, but there are a few pending reviews and things to be addressed. Okay. So today we have 3 working group items that will be presented. The reliable transport, first of all, then a quick update on DDT and traversal. Then we have non-working group items, so the LISP delegated mappings, an update on the multicast, and last to conclude the meeting today is Savvy in a LISP network. Okay. Any comment, Prasad, please?
Thank you, Luigi. Prasad, Cisco. I'm working on 6831 BIS. The comments, they're valid comments. Definitely, the document needs, a bit of a work before requesting WGLC. So
yeah. Well, we will work on that, and then we pass to the other one, so on as a.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
At least for the 2 BIS documents, to be honest, I think that if we work together to address the reviews, we can go for working group last call before Christmas. So
That will be a good way to end the year.
so depend on us, but we could. It's doable. So that's right. Okay. Anything else? I would say no. So Mark, you're the first one. Clicker is here. You should have control.
Okay. So this is an update on the latest revision of this draft. It's taken a while, but we tried to address all the comments. We had a whole bunch of comments from the chairs. Think now we've resolved all of them. The document should be almost ready to go. Would request if you guys can have a read and see if we are there. We are trying to go straight to standard extract, so added a section of sample reliable transport experiences, and we've extended the draft with all the requests to Ayana. We received that automated email on the request. I think, yeah, text doesn't conform very well to Ayana. So we are preparing an updated version. We'll upload it this week. Okay, so with respect to the comments, we've been going back and forth with this. How do we signal which protocol we use to establish a reliable session? Since there are no working implementations of Quick or multicast Quick, we, in the end, what we decided to do is just use the bit to signal TCP, and we keep Quick or other protocols for the future. If anyone has an implementation, we could always write an extension. Okay, so the basic idea is that if someone uses the R bit, this means TCP, right? And we leave the rest for the future. Then we introduced, I think there was a request to clarify some sections, some messages, how are they used, why are they used? So we introduced these, one for the registration refresh and the other for rejection and withdrawal. And then there is an extra section to clearly distinguish which messages do we reuse from 9301 and which are new. Yeah, then there was that comment on the state machine that was very complicated to follow. Hopefully with the new revision, it's a bit easier to read. Essentially, we followed Padma's suggestion and we split in two. Yeah, if you can, I don't know, give it a try, you let us know, right? But I think it's much clearer, it reads much better, so it was a very good idea. Oh yeah, and then there was a comment on why were we not reusing map notify format in the TCP notification. We analyzed it. Actually, it was very easy to reuse, so we updated the draft, and actually the implementation to go this way. To be honest, map notify doesn't have much extra flags. So as of now, the only thing that we reuse here is all the authentication semantics. Right? All the others are just records. And what I was saying, right? We're trying to sort out the Ayana language to get all the codes and types allocation. I'll prepare some text. I think, Luigi, in the past you had some experience with that. I'll share it with you if you can. Yeah. And as I was saying, right, we introduced some deployment experiences. We identified 3 use cases where it's very clear that, okay, not very clear, but it's easy to understand how periodic registrations didn't work out for scale, and these are the 3 ones. And that's it, right? After all the cleanup, I think this draft is mostly ready. We had this question whether we can.
I just want to say something.
Okay.
Thanks for a great update on this document. It was very clear compared for the first one.
Okay,
Great
awesome.
job on that one. I didn't have a lot of comments. I still have a few comments here and there,
Okay.
but really the readability improved a lot.
Okay,
Thanks for
awesome.
that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. And okay, so if you still have comments for our last call, it's a bit early, right? But about standards track going straight there, what do you guys think?
Prasad, Cisco, I think I would second Padma's endorsement that the document readability, even for somebody who does not have a LISP background, a lot of LISP background, but for me, it was nice to read that.
Awesome.
And yeah, personally, for me, standard stack is okay.
Okay.
I have one question is that I think that the reliable transport is going to be used for other features. You know, I've seen Savvy coming down the road, et cetera, et cetera. I've been wondering whether we should actually push this to standard strike as well, because it's going to be used by others later. So I would like to ask that to everyone, and I think that's might be a good thing to do.
You said you added a section with
Yes.
deployment
Yes.
experience, so
Yeah, and we have some years of experience with it, right? So, I mean, practical experience. So,
okay.
Somebody else is in the queue, I think.
Yeah. Lakshmi?
I had a minor comment on the draft. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so regarding the authentication section, see, the authentication was happening using the UDP. So I was wondering, if we would need, as part of the reliable reject message, there were options for option 2 for authentication failure. So if the authentication was completed using the UDP, then the reliable registration or the RR reject message, we might not have an option to hit the reject due to the authentication, right? So maybe that might need a bit of correction there.
Yeah, it's a good comment. Actually, the draft leaves it optional to authenticate once you switch to TCP to continue authenticating with every message or not. So that rejection message is mostly if you continue validating every registration, then that's when it would make sense. Huh?
Thank you.
Is it Dino? Padma, based on your comment, you said you believe reliable transport's going to be used quite a bit. Do you have an opinion if TCP is sufficient and that quick may be considered? I don't want to hold up this document for quick, and it's already been decided to put it in a separate document. But so I'm just FYI in your opinion.
Yeah. So I don't know about whether people are going to be using it with QEP, but I would like to see Quick and other transport that we have enough, enough flexibility to accommodate them. I do think a lot of people are moving from TCP to Quick more and more. So I don't know whether any deployment needs it, but I think that will be depending on what are the characteristics you're looking for.
I don't know, Mark, you might want to just look up and see what features Quick can give that we can't get with TCP, like SSL, the support.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I thought about is, I mean, Quick could also do multicast, reliable multicast. I don't know if that helps the scale, because if you want to do it across 4 or 8 map servers, that maybe multicast Quick in the future. So just FYI.
Yeah.
Just to answer your question, Dino, I think that the improved handshake might be something useful, especially in mobility cases. That might be one place where I can see that it might make a difference. Especially, I think that I've seen some of the map servers and some of the other drafts where we're talking about some reliance on the map server. So that might be something interesting.
So what we experienced with the LISP decent mapping system was the push-based system could multicast, but it requires underlay multicast. But Quick doesn't. So that's kind of interesting.
Maybe multicast expert.
Not an expert. So,
Rashad, actually.
SSL, yes, definitely point taken for Quick, but multicast I would probably hold off, especially into a separate document. Otherwise, the scope is good.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm far removed from that doc, but I just wanted to mention that if you might want to look at why netconf and BMP and maybe other protocols are going over Quick and to see if there's an overlap in terms of requirements.
Okay.
There might be, there might not be, but there's already been a fair amount of work done.
Okay, yeah, that's a good tip. Thanks. Okay.
Good. No further question. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
So now it's me presenting a quick update on the 8111 BIS document, which is the LISP DDT. Okay. So the document has been adopted as a working group document, so we rename it. Damian Saussé is not able to work anymore on this document and the not traversal document, a pity, but anyway, Laurent Jacob volunteered to help me at least on the DDT document, which is very, very good. He was there a long time ago at the beginning of LISP, so it's a pleasure to work again with him on this document. So what we did actually for this iteration is to fix a lot of typos that me and Damian left there and added the possibility to use stronger security. Okay. There are a couple of things that we need to converge, have consensus on. So in the DDD document, we define the XEID, so the extended DID, okay, which is composed of the database ID, the instance ID, the address family, and then the prefix, okay? Address family and prefix, fine. The other two fields is a little bit more complicated. So at the beginning of the DDT, so 8111 says IID is 32-bit, but this was before. So if we look at the 9300 RFC, so the LISP specification, IID is 24 bits. Okay, so what we want to do is to put here IID is 24 bits, but we will also clearly describe in the in a specific section about backward compatibility, the fact that in all the implementations using 32 bits are still compatible. If you encode 24 bits over a 32 bits field, doesn't matter. As long as we agree that we use 24 bits. And as for the specification of LISP, right now, IID is 24 bits, okay? This is one thing. And the second thing is the database ID. I understand that the initial thoughts about having possible different database forms or format or something, I don't think it's gonna happen at this point. So either we decide we keep it, but this means as well asking Ayana for a registry, because there is one database ID in this document. We use the value 0, and in the future, somebody wants to define more different formats, whatever, they ask an ID to IANA to have a different database ID. Or we drop it. We still are compatible, because if we look on the wire, this field is never shared. Even if we look at the LCAF, this value is nowhere. So the fact that you have it in your implementation doesn't hurt. It's there, it works, everything will work fine. It's just that we reduce the definition of the extended IDEA to a simpler version with directly the instance ID, 24 bits, and then the prefix with the address family. Dino.
Okay, have a comment on instant ID. I've made this comment a half a dozen times over the last 15 years. The 32-bit instant ID was absolutely intentional, and it was done even knowing that there was 24 bits in the data plane. And the reason it was done because Cisco had customer requirements where they didn't want to have the same problems with VLAN IDs, which were 10 to 16 bits. So we said it's no problem to make it 32 bits. There's 3 implementations that already do it. Okay, and what we said is you map the low order 24 bits from the 32 into the data plane. And so why is that useful? Because the instance IDs can be duplicated in other parts of the network, and they're part of a different mapping system. And so that we wanted to reuse the space, just similar how we do with NAT devices. So I think we should just stay and keep it the way it is. And I've said this over and over again, and just say that the control plane is 32 bits, and that when you actually encapsulate a packet using this particular EID, that you map the low order 24 bits of that 32-bit field into the data plane. I mean, if you change it, the implementations are not going to be able to change. So I think just put that one line text here, and I think we're good to go.
No. Yeah, we went over this over and over again, and we end up all the time at the same point. Yeah. You receive a data plane packets with 24 bits IID. You have no way to understand to which 32 bits field you belong. There is no way, and we end up always to this. And if you look the mailing list, the last time we
you don't have to map backwards.
Let me finish. The last time we discussed this, okay, Mark sent an email explaining exactly what you said right now, and then say, this is fine, switching 32 to 24. It's the other way around.
It's not required. The other way around is not required.
Why not? So you don't need the other 8 bits. You don't need it. You don't need it.
At the date.
But at this,
no. Wait.
For
you're making an assumption.
For interoperability, you need 24 bits. If Cisco has specific use cases for the other 8 bits, you can do it. You are still compatible for all the others. If we keep 32-bit, this thing will not be coherent with the specification that we have. And the fact that these issues was discussed with what was the name of the security AD at the time? I don't remember, but was discussed. There was exactly the same issue in 9300, and the decision was we go for 24, period. If we keep here 32, we are not coherent in the specs. And this will be pointed out in the IISG review.
This is completely unnecessary. Okay,
will be pointed out.
Let me understand what the design intent was, okay? When you get a 32-bit value out of the mapping system at control plane time, you map it into 24. When the ETR gets the encapsulated packet with this 24 bits, it does not need to go look up.
I remember
the 30,
your rationale.
No, I've never said this before because I'm trying to make progress here on this issue. So you don't have to map back. So the ETR
if you don't map back, you don't need the 8 bits.
You don't need what?
The 8 bits additional to go from
no, but
34
you need it
to
on the
8.
ITR side, not on the ETR. The encapsulator.
If you receive a data plane packets with 24 bits and you don't need to map over 32, I don't see the usefulness of the other 8 bits. If the Cisco guys have a specific
some other ETR and another mapping system is using a different high order bits.
We cannot. there is no way, there is nowhere that is specified how to go from 24 to 32.
Because
If you solve,
because it's not needed.
why not?
Hey guys, I know the discussion is passionate and interesting, but I just want to keep time
We
here.
need to have the specification to go from 24 to 32. If we don't have it, it's not consistent. It's not consistent.
We should at least say that this is not required because it's not needed. Think of it this way. Luigi, I'm encapsulating a packet to you. You have a data structure that's 24 bits, right? So, and the loader 24 bits could be some other ETR somewhere else, another mapping system. But when I encapsulate it to you, all you have to do is pull off the header, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to go look up in the mapping system at all at data plane time.
If all you need is 24 bits and you don't need to map to 32, 32 is not needed.
No,
it's as simple
I'm
as that.
telling you it's needed on the ITR, but not the ETR.
It's as simple as that. And we will have it at the ISG review this. We will end up at the like 9300,
So,
24.
one last thing. Let's keep time because I know you got the next presentation. Last question from you.
Yeah, very quick one. So why don't we? So the effort that we did is we split the original RAC into 9300 and 9301, right? Kind of decoupling data plane from control plane activity. Couldn't we just stick to 24 bits in the data plane one, but keep like an extensible segmentation option for the control plane?
No. The instance ID is only 24 bits in 9300.
Yes.
In the 9301, there is no instance ID mentioned.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
the only thing is in the LCAF.
Yes.
That is still old. Is still 32. We will end up with the same discussion.
Yeah, but what I mean is that in some sense...
May I suggest something? Is that I don't think we're going to finish the discussion now.
Okay.
I think it's best discussed on the list.
Okay.
So that more people actually can chime in and
on the list. We converge at least on database ID.
Yeah, I think that one. Yeah.
Okay. It's progress. It's progress.
No,
it's good. We are making progress.
The instant ID because
it's
yeah,
good. We are making progress.
For it, right? So yeah, we'll
at least on that. So IID will go on the mailing list. Database ID we will redefine and we will explain on the document why and how we changed this. There are two outstanding tasks. One is error handling. I will deal with that, we'll work on this, and the deployment experience, because we are moving this to standard track, and LoRaP will volunteer to do this part. Any further questions that are not on the IID? No, I switch slide deck.
Yeah, I want to switch slide.
So, not traversal. We submitted again in September. Has been adopted, so renamed. What the main change was about backward compatibility. Why this? Because if you remember, there was at the beginning, the original specification used the FF instance ID to recognize that there is a data plane message encapsulated coming back. Okay, we changed that because there was no protection, okay, at all, this message. And also we introduced text on the fact that we the info request, info reply have basically the same structure like map register, map notify, so we can reuse completely the authentication and integrity checks mechanism that we have for those messages. Okay, so in the last message coming back going through the NAT is now a data plane encapsulated ECM map notify in order to verify that everything is protected and authenticated. Okay, this was the change that I already presented before the adoption. Okay, it's just that we added all the text. They explained this, and we said why we changed to this format. Obviously, if there are all the implementations with the other formats, free to use it. Just take into account that the map notifying coming back through going through the NAT is not protected, and there must be some out of band notification mechanism that you know what you are receiving. Okay, and that's it basically. I think we can take into the list. We can go for last call. Modulo, any comments? Dino.
Just a comment on the map info request, info reply. It does not have the same packet format as the map register. Right?
Yeah, there is something more.
There's no EIDs in the info request.
Yeah,
right.
But at the end, you can use exactly the same type of.
There's NAT specific information in the info request that's not in the map in the EID records of map register. So are you adding it to the map registers that are not needed when you're not doing that? So I think there's a bug there. So I'll review.
I will check.
I will review the draft and comment.
Oh, thank you. Any other question, comment? Thank you. Mark, up to you again.
Okay, Mark again. So this is a new draft that we are proposing for, this time, first time. I'm presenting on behalf of some of the co-authors, Balaji and Sanjay are here. Okay, so the motivation for this draft is that we have all these environments and more and more, I would say, where there is some sort of network controller or orchestration engine that is used to organize networks in resources in the network, okay? And normally these controllers are kind of centralized entities in the network. And when we look at them from a network perspective, they represent some sort of vantage point where that it's able to manage how host onboarding, authentication, or the movement of hosts around the network is working, right? And examples of these, we have plenty. I don't know, wireless controllers, cloud management systems, or we could even go down to authentication servers, right? They represent more or less the same. So the idea here is that when we have one of such controllers, but that it's managing resources in a network that it's running the LISP protocol. The interesting thing is that, using LISP terminology, this controller is actually managing how the EIDs are attached or distributed around the network. So what this draft does, it recognizes this idea that the controller is this vantage point in the network and proposes a mechanism so that this controller can directly interface with the mapping system and distribute these EIDs in the network without the elements in the LISP network having to do this on their own. Right? A couple of naming conventions that we introduced in the draft one is the name of the draft, the delegated mappings. We use this name to identify mappings that are distributed using the mechanism here. And the other, we call it XTR controller. It's just a controller that implements this interface with the mapping system, and it's able to use delegated mappings. Okay? And two assumptions that the draft makes, right? That more or less practical. One is that the exterior controller always knows the sites and the corresponding ETR logs where EIDs are connected to. Yeah, we could debate more how this knowledge is learned, but let's take this assumption for now. And the second one is that that's necessary for the draft is that the exterior controller implements the LISP control plane procedures, right, to do this. Okay, so how does this work? Let's take this reference system as an example, right? We have one of these XTR controllers, we have mapping system, just one mapping server for simplicity, and we have a couple of sites. Each one of the sites, this controller has deployed, let's say, and a host, right? Or has spawned a host in each one of these sites with their corresponding IP addresses. Right? Each one of these sites is a LISP site, so access is provided by an ETR that has corresponding RLOC. Okay. Okay, so what are delegated mappings? It's nothing else than the XTR controller going to the mapping system. And for example, in this example, it goes to mapping system and says, okay, host A is connected to site A. How does it do that? Just generates a map register with a mapping system. And here we're proposing a way to signal that this is a delegated mapping. The mapping system receives this map register, sees that, this is a delegated mapping. So it sends a map notify to the corresponding ETR saying, hey, there's a host that has just been created in your site. Particularities that the draft says is, for example, this registration cannot be authoritative, right? The XTR controller just says this is a proposed mapping in some sense, right? And so what happens next is the ETR receives this, does validation that it needs to do, and if it accepts the mapping, it confirms the mapping with the mapping system. It says, okay, yes, I accept this mapping, I put it, and now it flags it as authoritative. Right? Okay, so from that moment on, anyone can request and subscribe to this prefix, let's say. Okay, so more things that the draft says, in order to signal this, so that the mechanism follows this procedure, we need to flag somehow these messages. We are proposing using this, I don't know, new flag, a dbit, that just says this is a delegated map register and this is a delegated map notify. This way, mapping system and ETR know what they need to do with all this. Okay? There are small details like when the delegated mapping comes from the controller, PV, testbit, tbit have to be 0, right? It doesn't have the authority to decide how this works, how this is managed. And yeah, this is kind of more a side thing. We have implemented this in practice, right? And what we realized in many cases, the controller also needs to tell the ETR how to reach the host that has just been created, right? And for this, we took advice from Dino. We are reusing the ELP here, right? In some sense. So whenever we are sending a delegated mapping, the controller, what it can do is say, okay, you ETR are the first in the ELP. If you want to reach this EID that was just onboarded, go to this next hop. In some cases, we also need some encapsulation to reach the host, and for this, there's another handy LCAF, the multiple data plane, that can be used for this. Okay. And yeah, just this version, the first version. Yeah, it seems to match the charter, so I hope there's interest in the working group. We have a practical implementation if anyone wants to try this out.
Hi, this is Dino. 2 questions. First, you said the XTR controller does 9301 You mean just the map register of 9301?
Yeah, that's a,
And does it use reliable transport? Can
we do, but yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we in the drafts we say that if you want to use
Okay,
reliable
you do,
transport,
okay.
it's useful.
And the second question is when the XTR controller sends the map notified to the ETR, I'm worried about in a multi-home domain, are all the RLOCs listed? Because I hope that there's not new information that's obtained by the ETR where the authoritative map register overrides the XTR's map register, and what happens? You don't want.
No, okay. So in practical implementation, we kind of keep the two registrations. I mean, map server remembers everything, but keeps them kind of orthogonal, if you want, right? So yeah, the XTR. Once the XTR onboards, then it's fully authoritative, right? Can do whatever they want with.
So
the.
Is the XTR controller really more authoritative than the ETR?
I don't. The intention it's not, right?
Not.
So
when you say that the ETR is authoritative, it's only for its mapping and its RLOC.
Yes, but yeah, for example, if this endpoint it's moved somewhere else, right? This ETR
I'm worried about the multi-homing case where you have RLOC A and A prime there.
Okay.
So the XTR controller is going to tell both of them that both RLOCs are there.
Yes.
And they will then send authoritative.
Yeah, individually validate that they can reach the AD, for example, right? And we can.
So do you document the multi-homing case?
No, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We'll
hey, Mark, just to continue a little bit on, I had the same question, is that who is actually authoritative and when? It's not very clear in the document how that, and it's not very clear what happens when there's a lot of changes. Does the controller, I saw here you had the assumption that the controller knows all the movements, but it's not clear in the document. So I would really say, put all these premises and assumptions, because the first thing that came to my mind is actually who's saying what now.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do.
Hey, this is Lakshmi. So, hey, Mark. So, is there any authentication process for the controller to talk to the map server, like in terms of the UDP or like the reliable registration? I don't see that covered. Like.
Okay. So the XTR controller should implement full authentication procedures. So it should share a key with the mapping system and be able to. I mean, everything should be authenticated in this sequence, right?
Can there be multiple controllers? And is there a possibility for any contradicting information from the multiple controllers about the same host being on the same site?
Yeah, that's a good one. It could be, but yeah, I think we need to think about this one. It's a good one.
Okay, thanks.
Just a comment. I think that what's coming out here is, that was my comment, but if you don't mind, I'll go in front of you, is that there's not enough information on transitions and how these transitions are handled. Error handling as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make an effort to make it more detailed. Yeah, just.
I'm making assumption that the authorization key that's used in the map register is the same between the ETRs and the controller. In other words, it's all in one control domain, and it's okay for them to share the key. True?
We are doing this, but in principle, well, actually, yeah, because it's the same side, yeah, it should be shared.
All the map server has to do is accept two keys.
Yes.
And if the ETRs use one and the XTR controller uses the other, it just
should
works.
Be fine, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Prasad, Cisco Systems. I'll cover the draft on behalf of the co-authors.
Closer to the mic.
Is it better now? Okay.
You are
Does it
using
work?
it in reverse.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay. So yeah, this was presented in Madrid in July. I mean, and then trying to recap some of the main aspects of both the RFCs. Um, both 8059 and 9798 experiment. Okay. Um, both 8059 and 9798 are now RFC, I mean, informational or experimental RFCs. And the idea is to essentially take the combined content of both the RFCs and, make it one standard track RFC. Why is this needed? This is needed because 6831 BIS, that the other draft, I mean, the 6831 standards track equivalent RFC that will be the RFC to be needs this because this is a very critical piece there. Yeah. So, of course, with enough deployment experience, I think we first proposed 6831 to be moved to standards track. And as a consequence, 8059 and 9798 are now being merged into one standards track RFC. Why are they needed, right? I mean, why is this needed? Basically, multiple LISP sites, for example, can use heterogeneous underlays. For example, in this case, they can be V4 multicast or V6 unicast, or the other two combinations are still possible. And then that kind of leads to the motivation that the receiver RLOCs need to signal their preference, how they want to receive the multicast traffic, whether they should be unicast encapsulated or multicast encapsulated in the underlay, and if so, whether it's V4 or V6. So this information needs to be signaled to the ITR. Of course, you have the other case of the RTR, the re-encapsulation could also happen. So that signaling has to flow, and that's why both these RFCs came into being. 8059 was the main content, and then 9798 was pretty much a corollary to the 8059 because the 8059 did not cover the multicast underlay. So yeah. So specifically, two PIM join prune attributes are defined. The LISP transport attribute, which signals the address family, which is either unicast or multicast, that needs to be used for encapsulating the overlay packet. And then the receiver RLOC attribute essentially signals whether the group address, which group address needs to be used, or whether the unicast RLOC, which unicast RLOC needs to be used. And as I said earlier, all the four different types combinations that come into play here are covered, and of course, mixed mode is the goal here. Dino clarified yesterday that the IANA code points can be reused. I think there is no major reason there why we should not use the IANA code points. Go ahead, Stig.
Yes, Stig Van Haas, I would argue that they have to be reused because you want existing implementations to be compliant with whatever this becomes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I could look at the text maybe, but I would say in general, when they do a BIS document and progressing something on the standards track, whatever, we do keep the code points.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, there wasn't an intent to change the IANA code points at all. I just put a question mark just to be fair, because I should not take the call unilaterally. That's the only thing. Yeah. Sorry about the last bullet being incomplete. Original documents were done in LISP, I think. I forget the working group where it was done. But anyway, we'll keep both the groups informed. I think the idea is essentially keep both PIM and LISP involved so that, feedback comes from both the groups. Yeah, that's
okay.
I had.
Any question? Mark?
No, just quick question.
Please.
Is there any, so you support all combinations of underlays, let's say. Is there any provision to
switch from one to another?
Yeah, from one to another. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, or is this within scope or it's not needed?
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think that's, I mean, we thought about it, but I think, yeah.
From an underlay perspective, right? If we can switch, let's say, from unicast to multicast or maybe there's no need, right? You just need to signal what you want. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So all the priorities and weights, all those algorithms are still used.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking more from unicast to multicast underlay, right? So if you're doing head-end replication and you want to switch to multicast underlay,
Guess we're not using the queue, but oh yeah, yes, Stig here. So at least this is just the signaling, and there's nothing preventing you from sending the next join or a triggered join with different attributes.
Correct.
When you want to switch.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, what Stig made, and basically, there is nothing that prevents us to use multiple underlays concurrently.
But it could be worth, if it's not there, adding some text to the draft explaining what happens when you get a new value, right? The implementation should handle it gracefully.
Yeah, we'll think about it. I mean, surely. I think that's it. But yeah, the request is to request a working group adoption call, particularly because this content has been reasonably stable, and I don't expect a lot of change to happen.
Okay, we can take it to the list.
Sure. Thank you.
Sorry, Stig again. I just want to say, as PIM co-chair or chair, we can do this work in PIM with the exact format and stuff like that, like we did previously. But we rely on the LISP work group to say whether this makes sense from its perspective.
Yep. Yeah.
Does it mean you want to adopt the document in PIM? Is just what we can do is you issue the call, but then you forward as well on the LISP work mailing list so that everybody participate in the consensus.
Right. Yeah.
So we can do that.
Yeah.
Same. In the future, for the working group last call, you can include the LISP working group.
Right. Yeah. Basically, from PIM, we just want to know that LISP working group is happy with the document.
Yeah. You can issue the call for adoption and forward the call on the LISP mailing list so that everybody participates.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's what we did for 9790. I mean, the previous ones.
Yeah. It's not uncommon to have this kind of arrangement.
Okay.
So,
thank you, everyone. Thank you.
should be ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Ratko Kovacina. I'm presenting this update on the draft on behalf of my co-authors. We presented this draft on I think 121, and
closer to the microphone.
Okay, sorry. We presented this on 121, and this is an update on that 00 version. Quickly recap what was the purpose of the draft is to document procedures for source address validation in the LISP networks, and essentially combine or document how these two standards, SAVI and LISP, could work together, and what are the solutions that we're trying to address, and also how this integrated approach could help. Don't need to talk about LISP here, but in terms of SAVI architecture, to recap, it's mature work. It's been a working group, and it's mature standard, which relies really on and propose two major mechanisms to perform address validation, and in these two drafts, and in a draft that we presented here, we're focusing mainly on a first come first serve option that to validate, because it is open to validate any types of addresses. Again, trying to propose how this could work together, and how can just these two standards how can we do better in that regard. and we'll see how to support drafts address all these obstacles, how do we address AID mobility, theft prevention, fast roaming, and etc. From the initial version, we have quite a few questions and comments. We're trying to address them here. One is considerations regarding how this could work with another draft, which is about ephemeral EIDs, and actually added a new section into the draft to explain how this could help out, how this SAVI could help with the integrating of this draft in a way to address the detection of the potential conflicts of address in when ephemeral EIDs are selected. The other considerations there that were brought up is in terms of first come first serve. Is there any kind of how this could be addressed? And we did add highlight how the added draft in SAVI could help out, which is DHCP-based source address validation. I'm not sure if it needs to be expanded more after this, but it's another approach that could actually help out if there is any concerns with the first come first serve approach. Another one is regarding how does it react, how this is going to interact with the mark randomization. That probably is right now. We did not expand on this in the draft. Sure, if this is necessary, we can continue to work on that. But this at this point, this is where the updated version is. Yes. As I said, practical implementation is in production, and trying to see if there's interest in the work group to continue with this and to move it forward and adopt it and so on.
Hi, this is Dino. I'm wondering, could SAVI be used to validate group members for multicast group? Does it have any provision or anything? So when a host moves, it may be joined to a group. Maybe when it moves to a new location, you don't want it to stay joined. So I'm just wondering, is that completely off topic or completely?
It's a good point. I'm not sure. I need to look at this and see if this could actually help.
Yeah, you mean validating the group itself or the source of the group? Okay. Okay. I think we could look into it, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know top of my head. Would it help out?
Actually, on that point, I was wondering whether we want to make this behavior tunable, not right. Rather, it might be interesting to, in some cases, to have that, but just.
So if it's a source sending to the group, it's okay because you're validating the source. And once you validate the source, it could send any type of packet it wants. But on the receiver end, it's a little bit different, right? And maybe on the receiver end, you don't even know who that EID is because they're just sending IGMP reports and it may be obfuscated or report override. So it might be a harder problem.
No, but I think the good part is that SAVI uses the MAC as an anchor, right? So I think we still have that in the IGMP. And no, yeah, so maybe
it could be leveraged. Yeah.
There is a question from Aswin.
Yeah, Ashwin here. So with the IGMP, it may be a little difficult to do, right? Because on that LAN, the reporter could be any device on that LAN. It need not necessarily be, the first report could be sent by one device and the second device report would be sent by another guy on that same LAN, right? So with the IGMP packet sender, it's not the same guy again who's doing the periodic stuff. So how would you validate it?
This is Dino. In response to you, Ashwin, most of these hosts will be attached through switches, of course. And so I forgot there's a Cisco term for direct tracking or something like that. But you'll, with IGMP snooping, you'll know who all the members are. I mean, the identity of who's joining could be known or is typically known. Do you agree with that, Stig?
The IP address is joining, but yeah,
To the mic.
yeah, I think
Dino,
so.
Dino,
Yeah.
to the mic. Too late. We are on top of the hour, so we have to close the working group. Discussion continue on the mailing list. Just one quick question. Did you present this in Subnet just to make them sure that you are using Savvy for something else?
I'm sorry?
Subnet is the working group working on Savvy, no? Or there is any working group?
There is a Savvy there used to be Savvy working group.
But it's closed.
I bet it's closed. Yes. It's
Okay. So that's fine. That solved my question.
5 years ago,
So,
that's what's closed. Yeah.
Let's continue the discussion on the mailing list for this document.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
That's it for today. We will meet in Shenzhen maybe.